Hi, I'm Roger Lemaitre, President and CEO of Homeland Uranium. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to hear a little bit about what Homeland is doing and your interest in our company. We're a year old and a bit now, focused in the United States, and we're working on becoming a resourceful US-focused uranium explorer and developer. With that, we'll jump into the slides. Just to refresh everybody, we will be making some forward-looking statements. And so keep that in mind, or, please take the opportunity to review the statement here for your investment purposes. Our goal as a company is to develop meaningful pounds, become a meaningful producer in the United States, where there's a tremendous uranium shortfall of about 48 million pounds. And we're kind of the opinion, and I think the stats prove it to be true, that if you can build an economically viable uranium property in the United States or uranium mine, there will be a buyer for it because of the energy security requirements and how much of the shortfall there is in the United States. We'll talk about that a little bit forward. For us, meaningful pounds is producing 1 million pounds a year out of a single source with a 10-year mine life. Considering that the US produced just a little over 2.5 million pounds last year, that's a pretty significant player in the United States uranium industry. A little bit about our company. We're definitely one of the newer players in the block, as you can see. Our market cap shows that. We do have, a project with historical resources on it, and I think if we're able to do what we say we're going to do and convert those Crossbones property historical uranium resources to modern standards, there should be an appropriate reward for shareholders. That's what our focus will be over the next 12 to 24 months. Our company, we were trading at around 13 cents Canadian. We listed on the Venture Exchange in Canada, on the OTCQB and in Frankfurt. Our market cap's just under $15 million Canadian with 111-ish million shares outstanding. Officers, directors, insiders just own a little over 11%. Some of the people who brought the properties to the table combined own a little over 11.5%. So combined 22.5% of the company is held by tightly. A lot of those shares in the insiders, officers, and directors and such are under escrow as well. So they're tightly held. We trade extraordinarily high volumes for a company our size, and so we're very, very liquid. I think we have serious advantages being US focused in a place where there's seriously strong support for uranium in uranium development in the United States. We've been well financed. We have an exceptionally strong board management team. And in my 24 years in the uranium industry, I've never seen acceptance of nuclear power anywhere close to being as high as this. And it spans across the political spectrum, no matter whether you're look at the clean air benefits or whether you like the energy security benefits, on the right-hand side of the political spectrum. As I mentioned, our board is really strong. Led by Eugene McBurney, who's a legend in the capital market space for junior sector, particularly, and Mark Christensen. Similarly, Andrew Tunks is well known from the last cycle uranium with the ACAP resources, but it's currently the managing director of one of the largest rare earth companies in the Western Hemisphere. It's being in development. Nancy Nomore has been involved in uranium exploration for over 20 years, worked with all the major players in the space. And I've worked with her before at UEX. I myself have been in the uranium industry since 2001. I started off with Cameco back in the day as a field geologist, worked my way up to Radish, Saskatchewan exploration projects. I was also on the merger and acquisitions team during the last uranium run, the other of 2006 to 8, and managed a global portfolio of exploration projects when I was left in 2011. I ran a company called UX Corporation for 11 years, where we managed to quadruple the size of the market cap of the company and add significant pounds in a very, very tough market. As I talked about nuclear power, the strongest public acceptance in decades, and I could go through every single thing on the right-hand side of this list. In any year, going back 2 or 3 years ago, if you had had one of these things, and there are multiple sort of news headlines under each one of those check marks, it would have considered a banner year for nuclear acceptance in the space. And even today, we have to add on that Canada's decided to become a nuclear stronghold when it comes to civilian power generation. Unbelievable support across. New builds are happening fast. I think if you'd asked 6, 7 years ago, the small modular reactor players, when they'd be getting that kind of support and breaking ground on new modular reactors, they would have been hopeful, but not as optimistic as things are today. But underpinning this growth is a lack of supply. So it's not really underpinning. It's actually it's a serious issue. When you look out 15 years, and it takes about 15 years, and it's almost regardless of the jurisdiction that you happen to be in, to take a project from a discovery to mine supply. I think there's some really good examples of that in the space today. So much larger peers are struggling to get things, not struggling, it's taking time to get to the finish line. If we don't know about it today, it's not going to fill that supply deficit in 2040. And that supply deficit is equivalent to 11 Cigar Lake operating mines occurring at the same time. So basically, in history of the world, there's been about 11 Cigar Lake size deposits found. We have to find everything that's been found in the world today in the next 2 to 3 years to meet this supply deficit. So once again, if you can build it, and you can build it with an economic benefit, it's going to have a home if you can build such a uranium mine. When you look at the U.S. and why we're focused in the U.S., top hand slide here, you can see the U.S. produced just a little over 2 million pounds in 2024, which is a massive increase from the previous 3 years. Lots of projects that have been mothballs are starting up again. But even if all of those things happened, just look at this line at the top here. This is the 10% U.S. requirements. There's still a long, long way to go to meet that 48 to 50 million pound target that is needed to supply the civilian reactor fleet in the U.S. Historically, a lot of those pounds have come from, what to say, there's always challenging countries for sure. And you can see on the bottom graphic here, the U.S. has really, since the 3 Mile Island incident, focused on bringing pounds from overseas or from foreign supplies to meet their needs, and the costs have gone up substantially. It's important because nuclear accounts for just under 19% of every American's electricity. It's a huge part of the energy grid in the U.S. Yet, when you look through, people, we will look at spot market prices of uranium, and people say, oh, it's been super volatile. It's been very difficult to deal with. We think the market is actually, in limbo. Well, actually, the truth is it could be farther from the truth. When you look at how utilities buy uranium, they don't buy yellow cake and go, let's convert it. Let's turn it into UF6, let's enrich it, and then we'll make it into fuel pellets. They work their way down the supply chain the other way. So if they can short circuit the process by buying UF6 or already enriched product, they'll do that. But they'll buy the enrichment and convert the services first before they buy uranium. And you look at this chart, the blue and the gold. Blue is spot, which has been fairly volatile. You look at the gold color, which is the term price for uranium, and it's been on a fairly consistent upward slug go here over the last 6 years, and it's continuing to climb. It's at its highest price since 2007. You look below in the brown and in the orange, those are conversion and UF6 enrichment and UF6 prices. And while it looks like they got the same slope but on the same curve, they're on the right-hand side of the chart, which means that its slope is actually 4 times higher than what's the price of uranium prices are going. And that means that utilities are still buying, they're still working their way down the supply chain, working from enrichment down to yellow cake. And it's only been, this is even despite the fact the uncertainty about access to potential Russian conversion and enrichment supplies, the price is moving along at record paces. So that's the backdrop of why we're in uranium and why we're in the United States, particularly. Our company, we own a large land position in northern Colorado, in the north end of the Colorado Plateau, as you can see by the star. It's a past producing district with Union Carbide producing 5 million pounds or more than that intermittently from the 50s to the 83. It's got excellent infrastructure with highways, power lines crossing the property, and it's all on BLM or Colorado state lease land. So all public lands. Well, getting a little closer, they're 25 miles or 40K apart. 2 large land packages host some of the prospective stratigraphy in the area. And what we're really excited about is that at Crossbones, where we were out mapping here just at the beginning of in May until the beginning of June, We know there's a historical deposit there called the Skull Creek, or we've renamed it Crossbones, so that it won't get confused with the little miniature Skull Creek deposit that was located in the neighborhood nearby. We've acquired a database of over 100 drill holes with all the key information you need on it. But we couldn't find those locations. We were actually able to find the location of those holes by finding some more things, some more data here earlier this year. And we were out mapping and found, strangely enough, just 5 kilometers along strike of the Crossbones deposit, a new radioactive showing where there was no known drilling or and not it wasn't even deserved outcrop, which was just sort of mind-boggling because that doesn't usually happen. We're in the work process here of having to putting together permits for a late second half 2026 drill program because we want to test our Crossbones deposit. Because what we've learned since buying another data set in February is the location of the drill holes, where there were surface outcrops that were anomalous, surface samples, historical drill holes from even from 2006. And what that's done is having to redo the work that we thought we were going to have to redo in this next year or two. We've been able to actually short circuit that process because we know where the holes are. We have pretty good confidence where they are. We know what's in them, and we know how we can actually put sections together that tell us where we're doing things. The combined data sets will save millions and millions of dollars for shareholders because we won't have to redo this work, and probably 2 years of time as well. So that's this Crossbones Blue Flame area where the Crossbones deposit is known to outcrop. The new East Ridge showing was found right at the end of the mapping program to directly along strike to the east. We could put a geological map on, but I think the best way that shows this, you see this little high ground ridge that runs basically from one to the other. And it's shocking to me that we wouldn't have seen, or someone wouldn't have seen this radioactivity in the past, but you never can, you don't have to do the work because you never can tell when something might happen. The mineralization or the radioactivity zone is 500 meters long. It's open-ended along strike in both directions. Of course, without any drill holes, we don't know how far it goes down the tip as well. But that'll be a priority area for us to continue to work on over the next year. So just pivoting quickly to the east, to our Coyote Basin project, which is located in Skiggery, that's above where the Crossbones deposit and the East Ridge showing are found. We did complete a drill program here in February. We did put out a news release when we got the results, the first 8 of the 33 holes done, and we were not finding uranium. Strange as it may sound, we're still awaiting the final or the results from the remaining 25 holes, and they're still outstanding. It's been a pretty bad backlog at the laboratory, but we will be trying to figure out what happened and why we're not seeing mineralization in the area. There were a very reputable group called Western Mining, did find uranium back in 1979. So we still have to do that. But meanwhile, strangely enough, we're probably already considering pivoting the bulk of our efforts to Crossbones just based on the data purchases that we were able to do. So our company we have an excellent project of historical resources that we're going to work on converting here over the next 2 years, and to develop meaningful pounds that produce that 1 million pound a year over a decade or more. We have a large land package, and we're working with a very strong team, both technical and at the board level, that will help us get where we need to go. And there's a lot of value there to be had if we were able to convert those resources over. With that in mind, we will see us out on the road here over the summer at the Rick Rule Convention, the symposium, if we're going to be there this year. But you can always reach out to us and ask us any questions that you want. Once again, Homeland, resource-bearing company in a world where nuclear power is at its acceptance is all-time high, exceptional leadership, great valuation, greater companies, and we have really good financing partners. Thank you very much for your time. Please reach out if you ever have any questions about what we're up to. And we'll look forward to keeping you updated on what we're doing at Crossbones here over the summer.